I'm always curious what the opposing coach and opposing players have to say about the Lions as we head into a matchup, but especially when it's the first game of the season. What do they think about our team, and then especially when it's a high-profile game and a really good coach like Andy Reid? What does he have to say about the Lions? Again, they're always going to say nice things, but there's some things that you can pick up that's like interesting, and it really shows how people feel about the Detroit Lions. So here's what Andy Reid had to say. He had probably three key things that I like. So he said, "Hey, look. This is a big challenge for us. But they finished absolutely on fire. They play aggressive football." And just pause right there. I mean, that is what Dan Campbell wants to do. I think early on, we weren't good enough to play aggressive football. So that's when you saw us going for it and doing some funky things outside of the game that we don't really want to go that far outside. Dan Campbell wants to go for it on fourth down. He wants to, all those things, and there's a little bit of trickery, but really, I think Dan Campbell's in a groove when it comes to playing aggressive football versus, again, those first 2 years, we were kind of always behind and we had to fake. And now when you're ahead and you can play aggressively with fakes and going for it, I think that's going to be really good. And I think something to take note is Aaron Glenn is going to be more aggressive than we think, or that we have been in the past, because we have the players now. So I think Aaron Glenn wants to be aggressive as well. So keep an eye on that. So he said Dan has done a really good job with those guys. And then between Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, they've got good coordinators. Both schemes are good. Like I've said, they've got good talent. That's something we have not heard a coach say about the Lions. We just really haven't. And you think about it going into last year, Hutch was unproven. Kirby Joseph, hadn't really come on yet. Now all those rookies and second year guys are in their second and third years. We've added good free agents, good draft picks. So you're going to hear more coaches say they've got talent. Our guys will come in here and focus on that. They'll study the players, they'll study the schemes, and by the time we get to Thursday, we'll have all the situations down. So it's a normal week for us. That normal week means it's a normal week of we're prepping. Like, this isn't a training camp week. This is a normal week that we've got to get ready. So and he's got two more things that I really love, but aggressive and talent is something that, yep, that's what the Lions are trying to build, and that's where they're headed, and that's where we're really getting to. So I love that part. And then Andy Reid said, yeah, they kind of answered that midway through the season. He's talking about the defensive improvements. I really thought they were playing good football as it went down the stretch there defensively, and they made upgrades to their defense. Some of the players we know, one of their safeties, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, was in the Super Bowl against us. There are players that we're familiar with. They have really good football players. Again, going back to the talent, and that is something, and this by the way comes from the Arrowhead report on Fan Nation about, it's a Chiefs report, so appreciate that. But we have good players, we're aggressive, we have good coaches, right? Like, this is something that's not, this is almost new to us, really, that because we were building it. Well, it's here. We've got Andy Reid recognizing it, and I love it. Again, for us, once we've got the ring ceremony, so he's talking about, and don't forget about this. This is absolutely to the Lions' advantage. They have a ring ceremony, so you're doing the ring ceremony, and he mentions it here. Look at the ring ceremonies for the fans than it is for the team. They've already been celebrating happy, all that last offseason, and now they've turned the page to a new season. He said, we'll be out there to do our thing, but like I said, we've got our hands full with a good football team and the game following up this ceremony. So we've got to keep our focus on that, and that's where our energy is going to be. So we've got good coaches, good scheme. We're aggressive. We're gonna play. We've got good players, and then also they have a little bit of a distraction. And I think the Lions, I like being on the road in this situation. Think about it. It's the first game of the season. They've got tickets. The players are doing a ring ceremony. Just there's a lot around them where the Lions are going on a trip, getting away from it all, going right into Arrowhead. And, obviously that's difficult. That's going to be hard. But I like going on the road in week one, especially in this situation. And the Lions are going to have a great opportunity and a great chance. So when you play Andy Reid, you know that he's going to do a couple different things. He's going to, scheme-wise, offensively, they're going to be really creative and good. And then you combine that with Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be difficult. But defensively, they don't have Chris Jones. And that we're going to run the ball. If you've watched any of the videos I've made lately, I'm talking about running the football is going to be so good. And there's two reasons why we're going to run the football. Number one, we have our offensive line. we have our offensive line healthy and ready to go for the first time in 3 years. Vaitai, remember, was out all last year. So we have a revolving door at center guard the whole year because Ragnow was hurt, Jonah was hurt, Evan Brown's bouncing around. It's just like, oh my gosh. Now we've got our offensive line. That's number one. Number two, we upgraded running backs. We absolutely upgraded in our running back room because these guys that we have now can make players miss. I know Swift could, but by the time he ever got in the open field, he could, but he could never really get. It's over. Swift is gone. Gibbs is here. Gibbs is stronger. I think more explosive. I think he catches the ball better out of the backfield. Now it's his first NFL game, so we can't expect the moon from him. But at the same time, we've upgraded the running game, and I think Ben Johnson really wants to run the ball, and we're going to do this because if you look at last year, we ran the ball really well with a banged up offensive line and not great running backs, really. And so we had 7-yard runs, 9-yard runs, 10-yard runs. Those runs every once in a while need to be a 40-yard run, needs to be a pop, needs to be make one guy miss and take it further than we've, taken it all last year. We didn't have that many long runs. I mean, we had Jamal Williams had a few long runs. Swift had some screen passes and some stuff like that, but just some really on script run plays that pop, second level, make a guy miss, gets caught in the angle, and it's a 35-yard run. You start loosening the Chiefs up like that, and you control the ball, you milk the clock. We are going to run the football, and then that's when Jared Goff is actually at his best, is when you're play action now. He loves being under center, play action, rolling, moving. St. Brown. So it all starts with, and Jared Goff would be the first to admit this, it starts with the run. Any quarterback, right? You want to be able to run the football. So keep an eye on the Lions to do a couple different things. Number one, run the ball. Number two, be aggressive defensively. I think with Patrick Mahomes, do you just sit there and let him pick you apart and move and jive? Or do you say, we're going to kind of come at you a little bit? Remember, the Lions did this with Kyler Murray in 2021, and when they crushed the Cardinals, Kyler Murray at that time, the Cardinals were 9-2 or something. Kyler Murray was, and we just bring in the house. Now, again, we had nothing to lose, and we had one victory on the season, so maybe that made a little bit more sense. But I think there's going to be a lot of like, hey, look, what are we doing? Or can we just sit back and let this guy pick us apart? Are we going to kind of take the game to him a little bit? And you could get burned. Like, there's no question about that. Kelsey's that good. They have a bunch of skill players, no question. But I think we are going to be more aggressive in this game. So let me know your thoughts in the comments on that. Excited for Thursday, and we will see all of you on the next one.